Welcome to Accidental Business Owners. The premise of the show is that 18 months ago, Seamus and I left our 9-to-5s to go all in on the podcast business and the other businesses we were building alongside it. And we realised we needed some help. We enlisted Di Foster, who's a business and mindset coach, and decided it was a good idea to broadcast our live coaching sessions. Each one is a bit unique and different, but always entertaining. This week, it's a one-on-one with Di and I, and there's a lot of reflection. I've recently completed the Icehouse Owner Management Program, and we look back at everything I've learned from the course and 2025. Accidental Business Owners is sponsored by the Icehouse. If you own a business and want to grow it and grow yourself as a leader, you should check out the Owner Management Program. It's 5 months working alongside other operators who are in the thick of it, getting challenged on the right things and picking up tools you can take straight back into your business. I've just completed the course, as you'll hear in this episode, and it's shifted so much in the way I think and operate. I can't recommend it highly enough. If you're running a business and want to push it to the next level, have a look at the program that's helped hundreds of Kiwi owners achieve more. Go to theicehouse.co.nz/OMP. Seamus and I are also stoked to now be in partnership and dressed by Barkers. Check out their range at barkersonline.co.nz. Enjoy.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Di, how's it going?
It's good, thank you so much. I'm Di Foster and I'm an award-winning podcaster.
Yeah, straight off the bat. Yeah, we won something.
We won something.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Honestly, it took me about 5 days to process that. I wasn't quite sure how I felt about that.
Yeah. So the New Zealand Podcast Awards, the yearly awards, and they have a bunch of different categories. And we entered this podcast in the business category and won Best Business Podcast.
Stop it.
Yeah, it was cool. So you cut like a compilation, a 15-minute compilation across like 3 or 4 different episodes.
Yeah.
So when we were sort of compiling it, I was like, oh, there's some really good stuff in there. You know, some sort of deep insight and some emotion. And I was like, yeah, that's a pretty compelling entry. And it's different, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the whole thing from the start. Like this is quite different.
Yeah.
But it did make me think back to the start and when we decided to create this thing. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. You already had Business in Between up and going, but weren't doing anything with it. And you'd clipped down a couple of previous episodes from Between Two Beers and put them on this business channel. And then we were like, come on, what are we going to do with it? And then we thought, maybe we could just, do some coaching live, see where that took us.
Yeah, well, the appeal for me was that I thought these would involve no preparation. So we could just turn up and record and we could batch them and we could do 3 or 4 in a day and that would fill us up for a month, which is totally different to the podcast where it's hours and hours of preparation. I like the idea of just, turning up and recording.
Yeah.
And it has been like that essentially.
It has.
Yeah, it's stayed true.
But we did it for 6 months on Business in Between. And then we shut that down and pulled it onto the main channel.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year. So it's been 1 year on...
Which, if I'm honest with you, like that was I'm not sure if a tricky decision, but like a lot of thought went into that, right?
It was a few tears.
Well, there were. Not from me this time, surprisingly.
I was about to jump in. There were a lot of tears from Di when that happened.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah. Because a business show on our business channel made perfect sense and was a perfect fit. And then taking that business show and putting it on our main feed was potentially going to be difficult for some listeners.
Well, it also brought the show down to just being the 3 of us and only ever being the 3 of us. So on Business in Between, it had potential. We could bring in other people if we wanted to. We had a whole lot of scope that we might be able to do, but in bringing it onto the Between Two Beers channel, it made sure that it was only ever going to be the 3 of us. And then it was like make or break.
Yeah, but I think... I get asked a lot about would you sort of bring other podcasts under your banner and try to build them up on their own channels? And this was a really good example of trying to do that. And it's really hard. Like despite the big profile and audience we had, it's still really hard to get people to listen to something else.
Yeah.
So those Business in Between, like when we put this episode on that channel, it would get between 1,000 and 2,000 listens.
Yeah.
But then you move it onto the main channel and it gets 20,000 listens.
Yeah.
And that's quite confronting too, because we get into our personal stuff more on here than we do anywhere else. And so to expose yourself to your whole Between Two Beers audience with the inner workings of
the business
was something that I think I certainly struggled with.
You guys get quite a lot of credit for the fact that you do this, the fact that you're brave enough to show up and do this. And there is this little thing inside of me every time I read that, and I'm like, I'm quite brave too. It's my entire professional career being put on the line every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which has been, in response to, what you said, that was, I leant into it. I didn't think too much about it. But at times I've been like, did I actually sign up for this?
Yeah. Well, it has been, for both sides. I think we're quite uniquely placed to talk about stuff. Because normally if you're the boss of an organization and you're publicly talking about all of the parts that you're not very good at your job, you can't do that, right? But because we are growing it and we're so open about all the things we don't know, I think that's why we started it in the first place. It's like, let's take the listeners along with us on this journey of showing them how hopefully we're going to get really good at it, but we're going to be pretty shit along the way.
Some things.
Yeah.
I've been asked a few times, there's been a bit of a discussion about how long we think ABO will go for, does it have? And Maddie asked me that last week. He goes, I think that there's a time frame to it. And I said, well, I think two things. I think it depends on what the boys are actually doing, and it depends on how honest they choose to be.
Yep.
And I think those two things will determine how long we choose for it to go. Because if you were just going to stay exactly where you are and you're not going to grow some of the bits and pieces, then that's not a great listen. Yeah. And if you're not going to be truly honest about some of the things that haven't gone wrong, which, or not gone wrong, some of the things that haven't gone necessarily the way you thought they might, then that's going to, determine the longevity of it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about this course I've just finished, and we spoke a little bit about ABO and the future of it. And I totally agree. The real danger is it becomes very samey.
Yeah.
And we're having the same conversations, and it can't go on like that.
I don't think it will go on like that because I'll lose the will to live.
Well,
That's
same.
Generally me.
And every time we turn up to record, I'm like, oh, do we have a new angle there? And then by the end, I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. Like we did. So yeah.
What sort of feedback do you get on the show?
We often get the same sort of message, and it's someone's been listening to Between Two Beers for a long time, and they want to reach out and just say how much it's helped them or changed them in some way. And then it's always at the end, and by the way, I love the stuff with Di. That's helped me as well. It's kind of seems to be in every message there's a little, and by the way, that stuff is really good.
Yeah.
Which is cool to hear. I don't know. I've been hanging out with a lot of like-minded business people on this course, and it's kind of like that relatability of just speaking the messages that they're having in their head and what they're struggling with, and kind of like articulating it. And they see themselves in my seat where they are getting coached by you, so it's helping them with their shit, basically.
That's so weird for me. People go, I know what you're going to say. And I'm like, wow, really? Do you? Because I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. So the fact that you do is really impressive. But anyway, right. So how did you feel about winning the award? Same old. You've won so many now.
No. I want to answer that honestly. How do I feel? I expected us to win it. I still felt really good. I felt really special that it was some, acknowledgement for us.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a but coming.
No, it's just we had the previous day. It had been announced that Between Two Beers was the biggest show on Apple Podcasts, and that was overwhelming pride, and I had a real day. That is really cool, and it was just weird timing that the business awards were the podcast awards were the next day. Yeah, and that's really cool too, but but not as cool as that.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah. My bubbles. No, it was a good week.
Yeah,
and Spotify came out too.
Yes. Yep. So that was It's cool. It's been cool. Yeah, last week Spotify announced that we were the top show on their platform as well for the
top
Between
show,
Two Beers podcast.
Top episode, most shared.
Yeah.
Best sports. Did I miss anything?
No. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird. I feel uncomfortable.
Why?
I know it's awesome. I'm really proud of what we built, but I feel like there's a risk of people getting, I don't know, turned off, or that you celebrating too much.
Okay, so we can just go high five.
High five.
Moving on.
Yeah. All right. We've got a lot to talk about. We have, for regular and loyal listeners, you will know that I've been doing this Icehouse owner management program, and it's just completed as of 2 days ago, which is really cool that it's done, because it was really intense and I got so much out of it, and I'm really excited to kind of talk about what it was that I learned.
Because apparently you're an introvert.
Yes, well, that's on my list, Di. That's on my list. And on the last day, we got up in front of the class of 22 and we shared like what our business insights were, what our personal life lessons, what our leadership lessons were. So we had sort of 3 minutes to just go through, the biggest takeaways from the course. And I thought I would sort of touch over some of them now.
Let's go.
So the number one, we had this speaker, Amanda Fleming, in Block 4, and she talked about communication. And this one, I think, has stuck with me the strongest out of anything else on the course, and it was all about framing. So she spoke about how for effective communication, framing is everything. And if you don't frame it, they will. And it articulated what we do in the podcast and what effective communication is. So it's just like really clear framing. Like our long form episodes, we think of a guest, why they'd be good. We research the shit out of their story and think, how are we going to frame this person up so that the audience is invested in their story and will listen to the end? The same with these ABOs. Like, how are we framing it so it's coming along for the ride? With ambassadors, it's when you have a chat with someone, it's like, man, like that is everything. And I thought I should frame this conversation because, yes, some people have listened to previous episodes, but some won't. So the Icehouse course is 22 business owners or managers. It's a hefty price tag, $36,000 to go on the course, and you go away for 5 blocks for 3 days at a time across 5 months. And at the end, hopefully, you are a better owner operator than when you started. So that's the framing. So here we are right at the end, and I've got these 3 lessons. That's the first one. Effective communication is all about framing.
It's interesting because it's not just an investment of money, but it's a investment of time, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Number 2 was protect my calendar, and realizing like my best time for thinking and doing and creating is before 11 a.m. Like 5 a.m. till 11 a.m. is when my brain is at its best, and it sort of deteriorates slowly throughout the day after that. And thinking and focusing about what I'm doing with that time, because when I used to get into the office, emails, low-hanging fruit, reply, get some easy
Which
wins.
can be done after 11 easily.
Easily. And it's like focusing your time on what's important rather than what is urgent. And so to do that has been like blocking out my calendar with, Sunday night, the night before, thinking, what is it that I want to attack on Monday morning and Tuesday morning, on Wednesday morning?
And one of the things that I'd add to that is that if your time between 5 and 11 is really important, and I've said this to you before, I would also be re-looking at my desk setup in that time. So if that's really precious time and you've got your desk set up the way you have at the moment, which is all inward facing 3 people, I don't reckon that's going to build towards your focus time. So I love that idea of focus time in the morning.
Yep. And we spoke about like flow state as well.
Yeah, that's it.
And
100%.
as go on.
So one of the things that I do to get into flow state, because I'm the same. After 12 o'clock, I'm pretty much like, let's just puddle along, and I can do coaching and stuff, but I definitely that real focus stuff, if I want to do some meaty stuff, has to be done before 12. One of the things that I do is I have an album that I walked to for about 5 to 7 years. Every time I went for a walk, I put this particular album on. So not an artist, but just one specific album. And at work now, if I want to just automatically go into that flow state, I put it on. And then I turn all my notifications off or just clean up my desk and go, right, I'm doing this. And as soon as I put that album on, it's like, routine of putting a baby to bed. It's like my whole body goes, yeah, I'm doing this, and I'll be doing it for about an hour and a half. Off I go.
Yeah. I used to do that to Jurassic 5. Do you know Jurassic 5? You won't know Jurassic 5. But yeah, when I was studying for school, and it was that same thing. Oh, now I'm studying, it's the...
Matchbox 20.
Okay. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly.
But no, when I was learning about flow state, and I realized there are times when I'm like really in the zone, and then you get a distraction, and then it takes you out, like how detrimental that is to the business.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the same thing, moving desks and or having a little signal, putting headphones on or a little light at your desk or something like do not disturb.
And even going to another desk that has nothing on it because you're only doing this.
Yep.
That's the other thing is, like in Japanese culture, they quite often have a space for each thing, or at least, they'll put out a separate mat and it's like, now this means this.
Yep.
And I think about, I'm even going to move my desk at work because where it is at the moment, I can see down the hallway and I actually don't want to because, again, that increases the distractions.
Yes. And that's something I'm aware of in here in this new space we have in Garden Place is that we're hiring out the studio, which to get to the studio, you come through our office. So the number of constant distractions and people come in like, oh, hey, and you have a little chat and it takes you 5-10 minutes, but what do you lose from that?
I know quite a few people that also, like, before they even get to work, have their laptop, go for a coffee, and for an hour and 15 minutes, they'll do, like, content or something, what we call eat the frog job, before they even get into the office. And so once they get into the office, there's another set of, focus, and then it's like, right, on with the day.
Yep. So, yeah, huge.
Playing the game.
Yeah. Just learning. I mean, just learning. The other one was when you nail your purpose and your vision, everything becomes so much clearer.
God, imagine that.
Sorry. Yeah. Which I think we have spoken about. Yeah, come on, though.
That North Star 10,000 day thing, which is not a goal-orientated exercise. It's just knowing why you want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
One of the examples they used on the course was like have dreams and not goals. And they talked about this Kiwi jewellery company. I probably described that wrong. But their goal was to have Rihanna wear their jewellery to the Met Gala.
Yeah.
Right? So like in order for that to happen, what is happening underneath?
Yeah, I love that.
And it made me think like straight away, and I'm not sure if this is the perfect way, so this is the one that came to me straight away, is like get Barack Obama on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because he doesn't do podcasts, right? Like at what level would the whole operation have to get to get him as a guest?
Do you have any of this written down?
I've got it written down here.
Okay. So what I want you to do over the summer holidays, is I want you to do like a vision board or something to that effect, something that's really specific and visual about your like big, hairy, audacious goals or big, hairy, audacious dreams, like things that are just like out the gate.
Yeah.
I want you to do that because I know I've said this before and it's all going to get boring for everyone listening, but you have this incredible ability to manifest things. Like you are just like a genius at it. But the thing is that as we've seen over the year, you do have a habit of plucking some strange things out of thin air.
Yeah.
So it'd be really cool to kind of just go those really, really just out the gate ones that are like, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine sitting down and doing that. That's unreal.
So I think that's another thing from the course. Like, you have said that to me before. You've said that to me lots of times, and I haven't done it. But I'm going to do it now. Like, it's just sort of been...
Did everyone just stop? Can we just tag this moment and just get it replaying? And Steve is going to set up a vision board and be very clear about...
I've been a bit of a slow adopter to some of these things.
Haven't.
Well, I'm very, I don't know, the way I understand a lot about how my brain works, and I'm very logical and it needs to make sense. And some of this stuff has seemed a little bit sort of manifesty, woo-woo, and I haven't been sure about it.
Do you know why you're slow to adopt it?
Why?
In my humble opinion? Because you know it's going to happen and there's always a price to pay. I want you to think about that. if you actually write down that you're going to interview someone like Barack Obama, there is a price to pay for that. And are you ready to pay that price?
Mm.
So what you're telling me is that you have now decided that you are going to be a world-class interviewer and a world-class podcaster. Now, in doing that, if you give yourself permission to dream there, you also have to give yourself permission to do the work to be world-class. And that is the price that you pay.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because when you talk about world-class, I don't think I'd really thought about it in world-class terms before. Up until now, the dream guest had been Stephen Adams. Like, I think that's achievable. I think we'll get Stephen Adams at some point.
Put him on the list.
And then he's been on the list for a long time.
That's okay, start manifesting it.
But, when you're talking about there is that is a whole new level, which I hadn't really thought about.
And the thing that I like about that, because it happened for me this year. It was like 2 years ago in January. I put out to LinkedIn that my big, hairy, audacious goal was that I wanted to speak internationally in front of 5,000 people. And then I got introduced to this concept of I give myself permission to be a world-class speaker. And it was always I give myself permission to be an international speaker. And I was like, I don't think that's important. Like, it doesn't actually matter to me where I speak, but I give myself permission to be world-class. So if I'm world-class, then obviously I'm going to be international. And if I'm international at some stage, I'm going to speak to over 5,000 people. Like, all of those are sort of gimmies. But the game changer for me was when I said I give myself permission to do the mahi, to be world-class. And then after that, when I realised that was that was living in the dirt, to actually do the work to be world-class. And that's when I decided to do a day with Jahan Castaneda and actually put in the work and pay the money to be better. And now I'm always looking at it, how do I be better? How do I be better? And that's the price that we pay.
Yeah.
Is the other side of it, is being prepared to do the work. Because I don't know about you, but when you've put in 5 or 6 years of work to get where you are, like, people come along now and say to me, like, wow, I'd love to be where you're at. And it's like, yeah, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have loved to put in all the work that I put in that I never got paid for to get where I am. And I think the same about you with the podcast. It's like, I've been asked by so many people, well, how do I get my podcast to that level? Well, you're at year 1, keep going.
Yeah.
Come back in 4 years.
I think we shared a video, it was like an Alex Hormozy one in our group chat. And it was like, if you knew the amount of work that it would take you to get now, you wouldn't have started. Like, I think back to that, the garage in Glenview when we first started with Aaron Scott. If I could see the path of the amount of inputs we would have to do without knowing the result, I'd be like, oh, no way. Like, how the fuck can you do that? Like,
why would you do that?
We've got jobs and families. And,
But that's the price that you pay. And so that's why sometimes when you say something unreasonable, which means that you're going to have to be world-class, you need to be careful about that, because there is always a price to pay.
Yeah.
That's all. And I think sometimes if you are, and manifesting sounds a bit woo-woo, but if you are good at generating what it is that you want, I think equally you don't ask too much too quickly, because you understand that. Like if you'd grown much more than you did this year, I'm not sure that you would have sort of coped. So next year I feel like you're in this really, really great position to take some really good leaps forward, because you understand what you understand.
Yeah, same. The springboard. The platform has been laid. So I learned about myself a lot across this course, and I sort of spoke about this a little bit with Shay on Ambassadors a few weeks ago, but on block 4, you complete this sort of leadership questionnaire, and it gives you data about yourself and where you sort of sit on different lines. I'm not sure, spectrums. Anyway, I found out I'm a massive introvert. So they lined us all 22 business owners from most extroverted to most introverted. And they're like, Steve, you need to go right down to the end there. You're the most introverted in the whole group, which came as a big surprise to me. I thought, because they make you sort of say before you get the results where you think you land. So probably about the middle.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit. extra and a little bit intro. And they're like, no. And then when I learned what an introvert was, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't talk to think. I prefer asking questions and listening. I love small groups and one-on-one chats. Big groups sap my energy. I love the thought of going back to my hotel room by myself. I love my alone time. All this sort of stuff. I'm like, that's definitely me. And the most common response from the group was, but how does that make sense? Because you're this public-facing podcast guy. And I was like, but what do we do on the podcast? It's one person and we try to ask them thoughtful questions. Yeah. Like, that makes sense. And then, but what about the speaking and the kind of, the emceeing?
But all of that's prepared though, isn't it?
Well, that's it. It's super prepared.
Yeah.
And it's almost like performative state too. Like, all right, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to go and I'm going to do this thing in front of these people. And I found it really hard to start with. Like 2 years ago, I remember doing our first gig and I was sort of, nervous as shit. And now I really enjoy it. I mean, Shay and I were crying in front of 220 people at Eden Park the other night and kind of embracing it and leaning into it.
I also watched you last night because we happened to be at an event together and I watched you with that in mind, with the introvert eye in mind, because after we'd talked about it and it was like, I could just see you just finding your comfort. And who to sort of go alongside to just go, I can breathe.
I could see you looking at me. We were at Maddie Hinton's 40th, and there was a group of boisterous lads there who'd been on it for a while. And you were like, "Come on, Steve, come over and have a chat." And
this is really funny. So the boys are there, and we'd started talking to them a little bit, and I'd intended to go over and be at the table. But as soon as you got there, I could just see they're like, Di, come over here. And I was like, looked at them and said, you only want me to come over now because I'm going to bring Steve. I could see it a mile away.
But because I had been at the talk the other week, and I think they'd listened to the podcast or whatever. Yeah. And so I'm there in this group, and there's like 8 of us, and you're kind of like holding court. And I know at some point, like I'm going to have to speak. And I'm kind of like, I've been quiet. And then someone asked me a question. And then you kind of just... I don't know, you kind of launch into it, right, I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes here and then I'm going to kind of find my person again and barrel away.
But actually what I found really interesting was it was the guy beside you that was also an introvert that said to you something about football. And then I could see instantaneously that you just relaxed. It was like, blah, 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 and chat. And then it was like someone else came up and then I was like, gave you the nod and you were like, over to me and my Steve. And I was like, oh, there we go. And then someone said, where's Steve? And I was like, oh, there's 2 Steves are overeating on their own in the corner. And you both looked so happy. It was like, here we go.
But
anyway.
Like that is new to me. I had never thought about the way I am in social situations. Like I've been the captain of every football team I've been involved with. I've been a lead singer in the band. Yeah. Like I'm not shy of being front and centre.
We were just talking about this morning, Shay and Doc and I were talking about this, the fact that people get confused shy and introverted.
Yeah.
They are not the same thing.
Right.
They are definitely not the same thing.
Yeah. I've just confused them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that is the
common misconception.
Yeah.
Happy days. That was funny.
Yeah. The other business life lesson I said is that the business will eat every hour I feed it. So saying yes to every opportunity is saying no to family, health, and sleep, and the boundaries have to come from me, which. I mean, this last year has been a crazy example of that. The opportunities coming in and getting better at saying no and sort of defending our time.
Yeah. But we've talked about this like for next year, which is going to be super smart, don't we? Yeah. So my question is, I only expect you to do what nobody else can do. That's what we have to look at, is looking at what needs to be done. First of all, looking at what needs to be done and eliminating anything that's sort of superfluous, that's not, on task. But then also going, well, the help that we need is, what I can't. You only need to do what you need to do.
Yep.
We're going to get real tough about that.
Yep. Which, became, again, really clear just through the course and through the year.
Yep.
So the last one for me was prioritize sleep, which is, again, something that I had heard a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember listening to this Matthew Walker podcast on Joe Rogan. This was about 7 or 8 years ago, and thinking, shit, that was the first time I'd really heard like how detrimental bad sleep can be. And it kind of been stored away, and I'd kind of thought, oh, it's important for sleep, but I hadn't really thought.
And then you had 4 kids.
And then you had 4 kids, and you're up in the night, and so, well, what's the point of focusing on sleep if you're getting disrupted 3-4 times a night anyway? And then we've finally come to this place where all the kids are sleeping through the night.
Whoa.
So it's like, whoa. Well, how am I going to improve sleep? Let's really focus on sleep. So it's like going to bed early and getting up at the same time every day, regardless if it's a weekend. It's just getting into that routine, which got really drilled home to us in the course. Knowing that like 5 to 7 a.m. window is my time, that's so important to me.
Are you up at 5 every morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same.
And it's so much more important to me to get to bed at 8:30, 9.
I'm 9,
than to have a drink or do something else, because my time is in the morning. So that's what you prioritize. And when I get a good sleep, oh my God, like I'm flying. And I got this sort of Whoop watch, and I measure all the, the recovery and the quality of your sleep and things. Even like having a couple of beers, like
disrupts the day.
What it does to your quality of your sleep and your recovery is,
In the last couple of years, I've not drunk at all. And I'm really happy there because, I'm age, stage and phase. And like sleep's hard enough as it is without adding the alcohol in, or even if it was just one wine, it would just be like, whoa. Yeah. And it would just literally, I'd be like, how do I function on that? Yeah. And the price was too high.
Yeah. So yeah, that one's been a good one.
And you're 40 now. So
and I'm 40. And I'm on the home straight. So we had this guy on the last day, Kevin D'Ambrose Smith, who spoke to us on the Wednesday morning, and he was brilliant. He kind of had this way of, first of all, he framed himself really well. In the first 5-10 minutes, just validated himself in every possible way, all of the organizations he's worked with and the businesses he's built and all that sort of stuff. And then he's like, these are my like key takeaways from 40 years in business. Like I've whittled it down. I've thought long and hard about it. And it was the most notes I think I've ever taken from any speaker. And I've used some of them already, but I just want to work through this list as well. So like data is the gold, get the data. And I got challenged on this in our panel discussion, which we'll talk about soon, about how much data, what do you know about your listenership for ABO and their retention and their age and their demos, and why don't you have this data? And I should have the data for every show. Like that is our thing, right? Get the data, know what it is, and then use it. That is our business. Hold people accountable, which I'm learning to do as I progress through managing people, right, which is new to me. Timing is everything. Yeah. So this is our time. Like how many businesses are so incredibly similar, but one of them gets the jump first and the other one you don't hear of, and the other one blows up. And it's like, well, this is our time, right? Like timing is everything. Like I can take advantage of it. And this is the one that I sort of bolded and circled is create raving fans. Every decision works towards this goal.
We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
And that's how the podcast has grown, by creating the raving fans that go on and share with their friends. You have to listen to the show. It's so good. Yeah. And that's how it grows. And the same way that OMP grows, because there's 22 raving fans on that course that afterwards we all sat around in a sort of a circle and shared what we thought of it. And everyone was absolutely glowing at the experience. They'll go back into their businesses and communities and share. So it's like for every business owner, right? Like how do you make your thing the thing that people talk and rave about?
How do you?
By making it incredible.
Yeah, by adding value.
Yes.
If you offer value to people, then the law is that it has to come back. Yeah. In multiple ways.
Which is our purpose, right?
100%.
Improving the lives of Kiwis through storytelling. Yeah. Yeah. Adding value. Yeah. Hopefully this conversation everything we do needs to add value. Yeah. And then it's like determination and focus are the key ingredients for success. And I was thinking about that looking around the group, like all of those people that have invested so much time and money and are running such significant operations, just determined and focused. Like it's rare to be in a room like that, like with so many like-minded people. Knowing what you want to achieve and why is far more important than how. I often get buried in the detail of
Yes.
how we're doing things rather
Yes.
than why we're doing it and communicating that to the team.
Just time out here for 2 seconds. If I could say that the most significant change in you in this year is when we used to talk about things like we need to move here or we need to do this, you would actually say, but I'm working as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. Like that, now you're like, okay, not sure how we're going to do that, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. And that's a massive shift.
Yeah. But the when
you're supposed to say thank you for noticing.
Thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing. But communicating that why as well is the one that I was like, oh shit, I haven't. I can get it in my head, but explaining it, bringing others along for the ride is a whole nother.
And we don't often even need to necessarily say it, but it's inherent in everything we do because that is the standard. Mm-hmm. That's what we go towards.
Yeah.
I think that quite often that purpose or that why is overthought. Like it doesn't have to be immensely complicated.
Yes.
It can just be quite simple. And I think quite often we think, but that's not enough. And it's like, actually, maybe it is because the ripple effects of that. It's like it's like, yep, that's your part in it. And there's a ripple effect that goes with that.
Yeah. What's yours?
I want to die well. Do I? On the day that I die, I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to have a whole lot of baggage with me that I just go, I didn't do good enough or not even good enough. I just didn't take chances when I could. And I just figured that if I want to die well, then the only way I can do that is by living well. And I always think that you then go towards, what you're good at or, what you're okay at. And for whatever reason, I've always been loved business and been okay at business. And I say that kind of I've been good at small to medium sized businesses. I'm not good at real big business stuff, but I'm good at that small stuff because that's inherent with the people. So I'm good at the business and the people stuff. And I've always been fascinated by people and why they do what they do when they know what they know. So I just look at it and I go, one day I want to die well, and I want everyone else to too. I've always wanted that for other people or, for them to have a good life. And so if I want to die well, then I've got to live well. And if I live well, then I want to love my work and I want everyone else to too, because I think we spend a hell of a lot of time at work. So it's like, that's as simple as it gets for me. I'm obsessed every day with the fact that, like I'm very aware that one day I will go with, one day I will die. So I'm just like, how do I make the most of today?
Can I steal yours? I want to make that mine too.
Ultimately, I think it's everyone's.
Well, you're, I always say uniquely placed. Because you have stared death down, do you think that is why death is in your why?
Yeah, I think that,
for those that don't know, framing Di. Di was given a 0% chance of surviving longer than 18 months with a terminal cancer diagnosis and is still here today 16 years later.
Yeah. I think that I'm naturally quite stoic. So for me, embracing death, like when you're told you're only going to have 365 days left, it's like, okay, so we're all going to die. So avoiding that isn't the goal. But actually, what is it that I do want? So, most people when they're given a terminal diagnosis will be like, well, I don't want to die. And it's like, well, we're all going to die. So that seems like a pointless thing to focus on. So I just focus on the living part because I think that's where the joy is. So I think that for me, dying isn't wrong. So even if I die in my 50s, touch wood, I don't, that's okay. Like everything's okay. I don't attach any, if I live till I'm 80, it doesn't make me right. It just makes me old, and that's okay. And of course I want to live that way. I was an older mother, so I want to see my son as much as I can, but man, he's going to be 14 in a couple of weeks, and he knows who I am, and he knows who he is because of me. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go too early, that he wouldn't have at least known a little bit about me or them, or I wouldn't have had that space to not even shape him, but just to have the privilege of guiding him.
Yeah. I knew I was going to make you cry in this one.
I did not see that coming.
Oh, we got one back, guys.
Yeah.
We got one back.
It's 1 to Steve, 0 to Shay.
Be clever. I think this is kind of blended into other thing, but it's a really nice way of putting it. Be clever about what success looks like. And with 4 kids and an ever increasing amount of after school activities and sport on weekends, like being really clever about what I want success to look like. Hold people accountable. We've spoke to that one. Great brands are bold, find a way to stand out. And this is something I think is a real focus for us in 2026. Like, yes, we have done a great job up until now, but how do we continue to stand out and not just get very sort of samey in a lot of what we're doing? You have finite level of energy, use it wisely. And that sort of speaks to that morning routine. Like, that is when I have my most energy, use it the right way. And I've got some quotes here, some just like one-liners, which I really like. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Leaders make the plan, managers make the plan happen, which is, again, I think a big one for me in 2026. Not trying to make all the plans happen, just coming up with the plans. Find a way. Successful people find a way. Everyone else finds an excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Above the line.
That's everything. And culture is felt, not said.
Yeah,
I want to build.
100%.
I want to build I think we can do a better job of building the Between Two Beers culture. With our team.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you've got a home now to start with that as well.
We do.
We really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
So yeah, that's that sort of takes me to the panel. So on OMP, there's 2 big days. There's block 3, which is in the middle block, and you do a business profile and you spend time coming up with your strategic, your purpose and your mission and your values and where the business is at. And then on the last block, which is the one we've just done, is more of a thinking forward, like a strategic vision for the future. What are you thinking about? What are you struggling about? And they bring in 2 external panelists, and then you're in a group in our group, there was 4 other business owners. So you intimately see inside their business and what they're doing, which is incredibly helpful too. We had Deb Shepherd, who was one of the facilitators, who did an amazing job. She is you talk about flow state, when she is there and navigating people's issues and delicately handling them and poking and prodding is just something to behold. And we had Emmett Hobbs, who is a former journalist with 7 kids, and he's done pretty much everything you can think of in business. And I really got on well with him. I hope he doesn't mind me saying he's 84, and it's a big day of listening and giving advice. And man, he was there for all of it. And some of the wisdom he gave was just top notch. So I sort of brought our Between Two Beers to the table, and I said, well, here's some things, and got some interesting bounce back. One of them was like, could we ever turn Between Two Beers into something we sold? Like, what would that look like, and how would we even go about it? And the idea was that, well, had you thought about different hosts? Had you thought about different co-hosts? And my initial reaction was, no, we can't do that. But then it was like, well, if Between Two Beers is kind of the brand for quality storytelling.
Why not?
And people know the sort of style they're going to get and the quality of host. Could you get someone in to every now and then, that if Shay wants to go away for a month, or I get sick, or whatever, could you get someone else to sort of just fill in? And over time, they might end up doing one by themselves. It might be good. And then they're sort of under the Between Two Beers banner, and you're not. So then
it's a bigger thing than you and Shay. It's the bigger thing of the conversations that happen between 2 beers.
Yes.
Ooh. Who said that?
That was Deb.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Go, Deb. Yeah. Love your work, Deb.
Then you throw around some name, like Jessie Mulligan was the one that came up. Like, also find someone who's kind of, you think would do a similar standard of work. And then there's other shows too, there's Ambassadors, there's ABO, these evolve, they might involve other people. So it's like, well, you could, right? Like, and I'm not saying it's 2026, but it's certainly something to think about. Hire a chief marketing officer, which is one that I had brought in, and we had spoken about this as what we need for next year. Someone to lead the marketing strategy and execution. So it's not me and Shay doing the proposals and being in the sales meetings and doing it all. Someone who can teach us rather than us sort of telling them what to do.
And also I think that with changes around AI and all that sort of stuff, like just where things are going, I like to think of the systems that prod us, and even the people that prod us. So, like, I've said this to you a couple of times, and I'm sure there's a reason why I keep banging on about it, is, like if I see an email come in on a speaking gig, I just quickly ring them and get on with it, and I know that I can get it over the line. Now, if I left that for somebody else to do, I guarantee the rate would go down, the conversion rate. And so my thing now is actually, how do we do the bits that we need to do but have the right support behind us? Because you're right, you don't necessarily need to do the proposal, but you do the key bits that need your attention, your time and attention.
Yeah. And this person needs to be, and we need to put a lot of thought into how we find the right person for this, because it's such an important, like with all of the potential sort of strategic partnerships and brands and short series and options, it's like getting a real clear picture of what we're doing and why and what our capacity is and where we want to take the brand.
And I think the thought for me that would have to be investigated is exactly what it is that you want, because a marketing person isn't necessarily, like, if they've got all the big ideas, chances are they're not going to have the tenacity and the follow through to get all the little things done. So you've kind of got to work out exactly what it is that you want.
Yep.
I think that's super important.
Yep. Agreed. Another idea which was brought in by Emmett, was the first thing he said. He's like, why don't you do subscription? Why you're leaving so much money on the table? Why? And like we used to do a Patreon, when we started, and people were giving us $6 a month.
We talked about this, about post interviews or post Q&A, which I still really like the idea of. Like, imagine if that, because when you've got a episode that goes live with you guys, there's nothing quite like it afterwards. And I always think, like 2 weeks afterwards, imagine if your subscription people submitted questions and then there was like a Zoom call where everyone can jump on and, it's like a post half hour. These are the things that we not miss, but these are the things that people want to know more about.
So my answer was, like, good idea. The thought of it is overwhelming. Because is it going to move the needle enough to affect our bottom line? And what work? We've got to organise another time for them to come in and record and think about what we're going to say, and
it becomes that raw Zoom call, so you can do it from anywhere. It doesn't become a recorded thing to be public. It's just the back ends behind the scenes.
But that's what I want someone to come in and be like, subscriptions. 100%. Okay, let's have a look at it. How much could we feasibly bring in? What's the work going to involve? What can the offering be to the audience?
But I just love the fact that you asked that question. You went, stop, that looks like a shiny object, and is that going to work towards what it is that we're actually wanting to do?
Yeah.
I love that.
But long term, like, that can turn into, you don't need this. You get that cranking enough, like a lot of sort of US podcasters and influencers, then you're your own beast, and then you're not relying on others if you really nail it.
Yes.
And the other big one, and I loved this, is Hamilton. Like, I sort of started speaking about ambassadors, and we've got this really great connection with Stark here, and they've helped us into this space.
Fastest growing city in New Zealand.
I know, and like, what a unique opportunity. And they're like, you're kind of already the unofficial spokespeople of the city with your profile. And it's like, what an incredible opportunity. It's like, have you thought about what your role is in the future of the city? Have you built a strategic map of the area? The airport and field days and Gallagher's and the university. There's just like such a huge opportunity. Like, have you thought about that?
No. Let's just go with the hard no.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd rave about it a little bit.
Yeah, but it is, again, 2026 basket, but it's like not that many shows are sort of place-based, but having that place-based element is a real
making it the key like differentiator from everything else that might be in other places that are more populated.
Yeah.
We were driving in this morning and my husband's with me, and I said to him, I said, I think we could live here for, like about 4 months at some stage. Once Jackson's off to uni, we'll just come and live here for about 4 months. It'll be a bit of fun. I've got this thing in my mind where it's like, instead of just saying, no, I live in Christchurch and I'm never moving, it's like, actually, let's just go and do that. So he was like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Yeah. We came out for the weekend about a month ago. We had an absolute ball. We were walking everywhere and we just had such a good time. Anyway, that's Hamilton. Moving on.
Sounds like you're an official ambassador. Get you in here for 2026. I sort of jotted down like what I want my job to look like at the end of 2026.
Yes.
Which is selecting the guests.
Yes.
Being fully hands-on on the show structure and the planning of how the shows are going to look. The research, I want to keep my hand in there, and some strategic direction.
Yeah. You are very tight on the guest side of things, and I think it works for you.
What do you mean tight?
Oh, like control. You are very clear on who the guests should be and who they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And you're like got this really strong gut feeling, and we've had a couple of conversations about things, and I go, yeah, okay, I'm just going to back out of this corner. No, because you're right. Yeah. Like, I haven't known you to be wrong. It's like, but you're like, nope. It's like, oh, jeez, I just got my hand slapped.
Yeah, it is a gut thing.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know. It's just intuition of just a whole bunch of different factors. I think I'm just thinking of this now, but like back to when I was playing poker and you are using so many different points of data to make your decision. So it's like, who the previous guests have been, who's coming up, what the audience numbers.
But that's not at the
recently.
forefront of your mind, though. All of that's going on in the back of your mind, and it's like a gut feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you calculate it somewhere in the back.
Yeah, that's all builds into this decision.
I hear you. Like I do exactly the same with clients. They're like, "How did you know that?" And it's like, I can't break that down. So, pretty much you told me, though. How you told me, I'm not sure. Yep. Awesome.
I want 6 weeks holiday.
Yep.
And
least.
I need to be accountable to, I think, an advisory group. I think we've got a bit of work to do about what that structure looks like. Yep. But I need to be accountable to someone and reporting into them on a quarterly basis at least.
I just think that that's going to look so different now. Because of your growth in the last 6 months, that will. If you look back on how that advisory looked at the beginning of the year, it was very operational. It was very challenging towards your, come on, above the line.
Yeah.
I don't care how you do it. You need to think about the fact that it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So
we had to go through that painful process.
Yeah. It's all about growth. Good year.
Yeah, I'll just close off with some sort of wider thoughts on just OMP. And the one I've put at the top is confidence. So when I first went to day one of block one, I felt like I didn't really belong there. I was like, I had been in business a year and a half. These were all experienced business owners. Shit, I'm going to get found out. Like I'm not going to know a lot. And the interesting thing is that the conversations I was having at the end of block 5 is that everyone was feeling the same way. It's that kind of impostor syndrome, whatever you want to call it, is everywhere. And one of the examples, there's this woman in our group, and throughout the whole thing, I thought she is just the most confident, well-spoken, sort of just like holds herself so well. She is like really put together. And on the last block and we're going around the circle, she's like, this course has helped me a lot because I've always lacked confidence in myself. And I'm like, what? But you never know what's going on in someone else's head. So you're sitting there and you're thinking that everyone else is all onto it and you're the one, and everyone else is having those same feelings.
Yeah.
So that the confidence I have with decisions and business and feeling like I've got a handle on things just in such a different place.
I always think that we look for the wrong thing. Like we look for confidence, but what we actually need to look for is courage. Courage to start, that builds capability, that builds confidence. So the courage that you have to show up to that, even though you think, oh, I'm not sure if I belong in this room, is quite important.
And you get confidence by doing it.
100%.
And so
having the courage to start, the more you do it, the more capability you get, and then you've got confidence.
And then, business is lonely. I mean, we've spoken, that's why this show works, right? Because business is lonely. And a lot of people listening to this are on their own journey and they don't have other people to talk to about it, which is banging on about the importance of having a good coach or an advisory or someone like that. And that's what this is. It's almost like it turns it into like a team sport. It's like a rep team and everyone's got the same sort of challenges and struggles, and having people to talk to about it is just, incredibly powerful.
Quite often when you're in business is that you're sort of leveling up all the time as your things are changing, and sometimes you do leave, like older groups of friends or stuff, or it's not the same, and so having a new group, where you're all business owners and things like that is quite refreshing, because it doesn't feel quite so lonely. Because if somebody doesn't have a business or is not interested in business, then they're never going to understand the fact that you're going, it's lonely. They're going to be like, stop banging on. You get as many holidays as you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. What's your problem? And it's like, but there's a whole lot of other problems that come with it. So I get that. And it's not that I think that we should expect other people to understand, but it is good to have some understanding from other people that are going along similar things.
Yeah, and that's the uniqueness of that panel in particular, where everyone around that table knows so much about your business. So anything you throw up, they've got a valid perspective on it and something of value to add to the, because otherwise you're talking to someone and you're just saying the word. There's nothing they can possibly say which is going to add to it.
Yeah. I specifically have what I call business buddies. Like, they generally are people that, some of them are coaches that I trust, that I don't really feel like I'm in competition with anyone. But like Deb's would be a great example, where she has, like a tally business. And so we know everything about each other's business. She knows the revenue I do. She knows my staff, she knows my costs, she knows everything, and I know the same about hers. And so when we've got a problem, we can call each other, and there's safety in that, and also sometimes we just go, that's hard, and other times we go, here's the uppercut, are you ready? Deb has a way of doing it for me that sounds like we've talked about this before, which means you're banging on about it, just get on and do it. It's like, that hurt. So I think business buddies are really important.
And the last couple of things is, like, getting away for 15 days was hard. Like, what an insane year to do that on, but I did it and can do it again. It's like, if you book in the time, you work the other things around it. And I think back to block 1 and block 2, I was up at 5 and I was firing out emails and sorting stuff until 8:15 when we would start the day, and then I'd be back on it at night because stuff needed to get done and it hadn't been sort of processed or systemized. And then I look back to sort of block 4 and block 5, and I'm not. It has been sorted beforehand. I know what's coming up, and Shay or Stacey or whatever, the systems have been put in place that I don't need to be on the tools all the time, which is a pretty good indicator of how it's worked. And then I got to bring Bon along for the last night, which was really cool. They had like a graduation and we stayed at the Hilton, and she got to meet everyone. It was cool meeting everyone else's partners, because that side of it is certainly brought into it, but it's such a huge part of the whole thing. So that was really special. And just overall, just comment on it is, there's no dead wood. Like, you sit down for lunch and dinner, and you don't care who you're sitting next to, because you're going to have a great conversation.
There's a good bastard sitting beside you.
They're good bastards. Yeah, so cool to be among like-minded people. So I'm really happy that it's over, and I got so much for it, more than I thought I could have. So I can't recommend it highly enough. If you're thinking of doing it, do it.
I love it. I can't recommend the change in you highly enough. We started off this show today by talking about the ABO Business Awards, receiving that award. And I just want to finish with just and I know Shay isn't here, but, to you both, I just want a huge thank you. It has been an incredible journey for me since the 16th of June. last year in the way that we've shared and got to know each other, and all of the ups and downs and frustrations and joy that we've gone through together. And, you know, like I often talk about the fact that things accidentally happened. But I was thinking today, it was 2 years ago in November that you and I had our first face-to-face meeting. And I remember in the first 5 minutes, you were like, "Ooh, I'm going to interview you." And I remember saying to you, "We're here for you. We'll talk about that another time." And it was it was a really sensible thing for me to do, but actually it was a reflection of the fact that I just genuinely wanted to see you in a better place by the time you left. And I just think about how far you've come in that 2 years, and I'm super proud, but I'm also just very grateful for the journey that I've been on with you guys.
Me too, Di. I can't believe it's only been 2 years. That's crazy.
It feels like a lifetime.
Life's moving pretty
Families
fast.
know each other.
Yeah. But we are going to be back. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to be back in 2026. So this is the last ABO episode of the year. Thank you, everyone, for coming along with us in this year. I imagine it's been quite interesting from a listening perspective that have listened to all of them, seeing how we've changed across the 12 months. But thank you for the support and all the messages.
It means the world to us. And before we go, just quickly, if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you follow me or link with me, because we've got a bet on, and Shameless. It finishes on the 31st of December. And at the moment I'm winning. And so you don't want to follow the boys or Maddie Hinton. You need to follow Di Foster. You will find me with a yellow background behind.
I think you've got it sewn up, Di. There's no catching you. Follow me when you're following Di.
No.
All right. See you next year.
Bye-bye now.